Fixed blades cut the dawn over ice and smoke. Chinook in the sky with an iron joke. They painted her green and they fed her fire. Now the whole crew calls her by one name, Gunzilla. Hear the thunder roll through the cloud-lined haze. Metal in the sun, burning like a wave. They said, go hunt monsters across the broken sea. So she shook the earth and roared back at me. Godzilla, Godzilla, take the beast down. Godzilla, Godzilla, shake that whole ground. Godzilla, Godzilla, with a scream and a glow. Godzilla, Godzilla, let the giants know. Out past the patties, where the old bones lie, a king-size shadow kept you in the sky. She came in low, with the doors wide open, crew chief yelling, and the night split open. Now the gauges flash in a pink lit dream. Chrome on the nose, like a fever beam. The rotors turn to thunder, the radios burn blue. Every cursed thing knows what she came to do. Godzilla, Godzilla, take the beast down. Godzilla, Godzilla, shake that whole ground. Godzilla, Godzilla, with a scream and a glow. Godzilla, Godzilla, let the giants know. Then the world flipped hard to a neon frame. Same old warbird with a brand new name. Laser fire glinting on the monster's hide. Godzilla climbed and she bit the sky. Godzilla, Godzilla, take the beast down. Godzilla, Godzilla, shake that whole ground. Godzilla, Godzilla, now the dark won't grow. Godzilla, Godzilla, let the giants know. Godzilla, Godzilla, hear the engines sing. Godzilla, Godzilla, king of everything. Another airline closed the door. Gates go dark on the shore. Paper tickets in a drawer. Dust on the check-in floor. They pull the signs down slow. Took the route maps and the globe. Now the runway holds the rain like it knows their name. And we all still feel the wheels touch down. Hear that long goodbye roll through the town. Fly on, Sunset Airlines, Pan Am, East Six blades cut the dawn over ice and smoke. Chinook in the sky with an iron joke. They painted her green and they fed her fire. Now the whole crew calls her by one name, Gunzilla. Hear that thunder roll through the cloud-lined haze. Metal in the sun, burning like a wave. They said, go hunt monsters across the broken sea. So she shook the earth and roared back at me. Godzilla, Godzilla, take the beast down. Godzilla, Godzilla, shake that whole ground. Godzilla, Godzilla, with a scream and a glow. Godzilla, Godzilla, let the giants know. Out past the patties, where the old bones lie, a king-size shadow kept you in the sky. She came in low, with the doors wide open, crew chief yelling, and the night split open. Now the gauges flash in a pink lit dream. Chrome on the nose, like a fever beam. The rotors turn to thunder, the radios burn blue. Every cursed thing knows what she came to do. Godzilla, Godzilla, take the beast down. Godzilla, Godzilla, shake that whole ground. Godzilla, Godzilla, with a scream and a glow. Godzilla, Godzilla, let the giants know. Then the world flipped hard to a neon frame. Same old warbird with a brand new name. Laser fire glinting on the monster's hide. Gunzilla climbed and she bit the sky. Godzilla, Godzilla, take the beast down. Godzilla, Godzilla, shake that whole ground. Godzilla, Godzilla, now the dark won't grow. Godzilla, Godzilla, let the giants know. Godzilla, Godzilla, hear the engines sing. Godzilla, Godzilla, king of everything. Another airline closed the door. Gates go dark on the shore. Paper tickets in a drawer. Dust on the check-in floor. They pulled the signs down slow. Took the route maps and the globe. Now the runway holds the rain like it knows their name. And we all still feel the wheels touch down. Hear that long goodbye roll through the town. Fly on, Sunset Airlines, Pan Am, Eastern, Giladi Road. TWA. Fly on, Sunset Airlines. You flew our hearts away. One by one they crossed the sea, left the trail for you and me, fading out in red and gold. Gone, but not gone cold. Six blades cut the dawn over ice and smoke. Chinook in the sky with an iron joke. They painted her green and they fed her fire. Now the whole crew calls her by one name, Gunzilla. Hear the thunder roll through the cloud-lined haze. Metal in the sun, burning like a wave. They said go hunt monsters across the broken sea. So she shook the earth and roared back at me. Godzilla, Godzilla, take the beast down. Godzilla, Godzilla, shake that whole ground. Godzilla, Godzilla, with a scream and a glow. Godzilla, Godzilla, let the giants know. Out past the patties, where the old bones lie, a king-size shadow kept you in the sky. She came in low, with the doors wide open, crew chief yelling, and the night split open. Now the gauges flash in a pink lit dream, chrome on the nose like a fever beam. The rotors turn to thunder, the radios burn blue. Every cursed thing knows what she came to do. Godzilla, Godzilla, take the beast down. Godzilla, Godzilla, shake that whole ground. Godzilla, Godzilla, with a scream and a glow. Godzilla, Godzilla, let the giants know. Then the world flipped hard to a neon frame. Same old warbird with a brand new name. Laser fire glinting on the monster's hide. Godzilla climbed and she bit the sky. Godzilla, Godzilla, take the beast down. Godzilla, Godzilla, shake that whole ground. Godzilla, Godzilla, now the dark won't grow. Godzilla, Godzilla, let the giants know. Godzilla, Godzilla, hear the engines sing. Godzilla, Godzilla, king of everything. Another airline closed the door. Gates go dark on the shore. Paper tickets in a drawer. Dust on the check-in floor. They pull the signs down slow. Took the route maps and the globe. Now the runway holds the rain like it knows their name. And we all still feel the wheels touch down. Hear that long goodbye roll through the town. Fly on, Sunset Airlines, Pan Am, Eastern, Sea Road. TWA. Fly on, Sunset Airlines. You flew our hearts away. One by one they crossed the sea, left a trail for you and me, fading out in red and gold. Gone, but not gone cold. Audio's on, Windows capture's on, the intro is out. Here we are. Well, hello, Glue Troopers, Maximax's models here. Hope everybody is doing well. First, let's get we're running about a 15-second lag on this one. Let's get a voice check. Steve, want to give me a quick count?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And me. So make sure you guys can hear us. My meter shows we are transmitting. So, at first I thought we would spend some time talking about making decals, which we will, but I have been getting a ton of emails from folks asking about the big news, the elephant in the room, so maybe we should get that out of the way first.
Okay.
Which of course is Spirit ceasing operations. And I almost sent Gavin a link because he's been following this real close. Actually, that might not be a bad idea since Ken's not. Apparently, you were telling me that Ken is lost on some desert island. He wrecked his boat and he went to the Bermuda Triangle and disappeared.
Yes, and Debbie's glad about it.
Oh, he didn't drag her with him.
No, he did, but she's probably still glad about it.
Now, Ken apparently is on an island somewhere. And first off, I would like to know where Ken got the idea that his needs supersede mine. Okay? Just wondering.
You obviously schooled him wrong.
I did. Okay, 10-2 in South Carolina. So they can hear us 5x4. Okay, so I'll speak up. Oh, well, wait a minute. I can fix that. Hold on. I did have the volume turned here. Here we go. Now you'll come through better. Okay, give another quick voice check.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, yeah, that's booming. So,
Hey, Bill Paul, learn how to spell.
Bill
Paul, learn how to spell.
Learn how to spell.
Why? I didn't do it in high school. Why would I do it now? No, Ken, you said he took a ferry, but it's not Fisher Island if he's... Well,
No,
you said he was in a bay. What bay is he in? Do you know?
I don't know. It was someplace off West Palm. That's all he
Oh,
told
okay,
me.
that's not Fisher Island.
No.
But anyway, so Ken probably won't be with us tonight, but if he is, he is. I sent
Won't
my
happen. Won't happen, Eric.
my buddy going back to high school, Bill William is in the comment stream. What? Yeah, you got to read the comments because I'm.
Frank Field says, with Spirit gone, the only place to see a real good fight is Walmart on Black Friday.
Oh no, Waffle House.
There you go. That's true. Well,
There was somebody who did a video with Waffle House and Spirit together, and I was like, yeah, one of these things is just like the other, you know. You know what Spirit should have done is he should have catered their food from Waffle House.
yeah, that would have exacerbated things to another level.
I'm going to tell you, I've flown on Spirit. My wife's been on Spirit. Since we're talking about Spirit, and I imagine we'll probably talk about them a lot, I want to offer you guys a couple of insights from my personal experience. Now, they were huge in Lauderdale, where I spent a lot of time. And yes, Spirit treated its passengers like crap, but that was almost part of the charm. You knew, you did a $9 barefoot fare. You better show up barefoot, and they're going to charge you $5 to wear shoes, right? But it was an a la carte system. But I was talking about this earlier. I think Steve, you were the one I was talking with when I said that, and I don't mean this derisively or negatively in any way. Okay. When I rode on Spirit, the first thing I noticed was, because I stayed in a lot of hotels down in Lauderdale and Miami and West Palm, and I was like, I am pretty sure that at least half the people in this airplane are either housekeepers at the hotels or janitors or support staff, blue collar support staff. And they have every right, well, I can't use the word right, but I'm glad to see that, look, yeah, Spirit Airlines is rough, but this allows people who cannot afford to fly on Delta or United jet travel. I mean, there was a real charm to Spirit in a sort of in-your-face, public bus sort of way. And I was okay with it. You're gonna pay $29 for a ticket, you're gonna get a $29 ride. All right? By the way, what phrase is Spirit most famous for? I'm pretty sure it was Spirit. It became a meme. Don't tase me, bro. Remember that incident about 8-10 years ago? The guy he'd done something and look, if you're getting kicked off of Spirit, that's like getting kicked out of Waffle House. Okay, you have really gone beyond the pale. And he wouldn't get out of his seat. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, this airplane's not going anywhere with you on it, so you might as well leave. And the cops came on and they were like, if you don't get out of that seat, I'm not getting out of the seat. And they're playing, don't tase me, bro. And he wouldn't get out of the seat. They tased him. Yeah. That was a t-shirt. You could get it. Don't tase me, bro.
That just happened on Southwest last week.
Oh, did it? Okay.
The plane was on the ground for an hour and a half because this guy would not, according to him, the seat that he wanted, that he was assigned, somebody else was in.
Uh-huh.
Because of the new Southwest seating policy where now you get a seat.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm surprised they didn't come on the plane and take him off after an hour and a half.
Do you remember the Dr. Dow affair on United Express?
Yes, I do.
Now, for those who are not familiar, I'll give you the quick 20-second. I think it was Republic. It was United Express. Everybody said United Airlines. They were a feeder for United. It was an Embraer jet, I think 170. And the Dr. Dow was a doctor, and they said, if you will give up your seat, because they had to move a crew. They had a crew, so a plane could fly in the morning. He said, if you give up your seat, we'll give you a ticket and a voucher for like $500. And he goes, oh, that sounds like a great deal. What he did not know, and they did not say, because they're clever, was that this is the last flight for the night. You got to fly out tomorrow morning. And he had to be at work in the morning. So once he found out, he said, no, I want my seat back. They wouldn't give it back. He got his crumpled ticket out of the trash and went back, got on the airplane, wouldn't get out of his seat. So they had to bring the cop. They weren't police. They were local airport security. They were armed, I think. It was in Chicago, if I remember right. I remember they were wearing blue jeans, so it was which actually is very practical, but he wouldn't get out. So he passively resisted. You know, he didn't fight him, but he wouldn't move. So, I mean, he's like trying to pull his arms in. So they're pulling him out. Well, during the scuffle, and Dr. Dow was of, he's an American citizen, but he was of Chinese origin, nationality. You know, I think I don't, anyway, the point is that they fell to the floor, not really scuffling with him, but trying to get him out. And he hit his mouth and started bleeding from the mouth. Well, they dragged him off the plane and arrested him. It was definitely a case of, this is not how you should handle this. You know, I'm not going to
PR move.
But the Chinese Communist Party got their hands on that footage, and they got miles and miles of propaganda out of it. Look how Americans treat Chinese people of Chinese ancestry. And of course, we all know that had nothing to do with it. But once that happened, the security guys, their support evaporated. I think they all got fired, or one or two of them did, and Dow settled for probably a 7-figure sum. Turns out they started digging into him as part of the court filings, and he had a pretty iffy background in some ways, depending on how you want to read the news. There were always got all these malpractice suits against him, you know, what doctor doesn't. But it was a whole thing. So it doesn't just happen on Spirit or Frontier.
No,
you know,
it doesn't. I had it happen to me once on US Air.
Yeah. And that was about as top shelf as you got.
I had a first class ticket in US Air, and they come on and they say, there's somebody who's handicapped and they want to get on the plane and we're sold out. We want to give them your seat. And I was like, well, what are you going to do for me? Well, you know, don't you think that's the right thing to do?
No.
No.
I'm on business travel.
I said, I paid for this. What are you going to do for me? And they said, well, we'll book you on the next flight, which was tomorrow. I was like, no, I'm not doing it. Well, let me tell you, they almost...
What made them pick you?
Because I was in the first seat inside the front door in first class.
Which you're not supposed to put disabled people in.
But that didn't matter. So I said, I'm not going. It went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Okay, so they closed the door. And then they treated me like crap the rest of the flight because I wouldn't give up the seat.
And that's when you tell the lead flight attendant. Go ahead.
So I was like a chairman's preferred.
I remember because you traveled for business all the time.
So I wrote myself a little letter to the CEO of US Air and explained to him what happened. About 3 days later, a FedEx shows up in the door with 4 first-class tickets. So they knew how to handle it.
Yeah. At JetBlue, we had the Mosaic, and that would never happen to a Mosaic. I mean, they're like, these people spend a lot of money here. And look, guys, let me tell you something. I imagine most of you already know this, so this isn't like breaking news. But airlines are businesses. And people go, what's the airline's business? Steve, what's the airline's business?
To make money.
Thank you. You see, you skip right past all the intermediate crap I have to no, it is not to fly airplanes. It is to make money, to maximize shareholders' wealth, period. And they should never have gone to you and done that. And the thing is, a lot of these people know the rules, but they just ignore them. Okay, Eric, don't get me started on the stories. We're going to be here all night just talking about this.
So Eric says, Southwest flights coming out of Vegas are always full of drunk, belligerent passengers. I said, Eric, you're missing part of that sentence. Drunk, belligerent, loser passengers.
Thank you.
Guys who showed up in a $30,000 car and went home in a $165 million airplane.
You know, I try to tell people that, and you got to, and once you understand these things, it all makes sense. Everything that is done, and God, I did not mean to get philosophical. Imagine if I had 4 of these instead of 1. But everything that people do at some level is about, as Ayn Rand would have said, and it's Ayn, not Ann. Ayn Rand would have said, rational self-interest. If you bear that in mind, a lot of things start to make sense that don't otherwise. We build constructs of rules and regulations, but people do move outside of those because, as Barbosa said in Pirates of the Caribbean, they're more like guidelines than actual rules. For example, you said you were in the front row in first class, right? You're not, and I guarantee that gate agent knew they're not supposed to put handicapped people there because that's emergency exit row. It was just easier for them. It was in their rational self-interest. And I don't know what made them think that a tough kid from New York was going to just give up his seat and get walked on.
They didn't read the book.
And but when Piedmont, my roommate was when I was in Virginia, a police officer. My roommate, Skip Gross-Close, may he rest in peace, wonderful guy. Skip was a Piedmont first officer on the 737, and I was there when they merged with U.S. Air, got bought out, and I heard all the stories. You could not, between U.S. Air, which had formerly been Allegheny, and Piedmont, you could have not picked two airlines with more different personalities.
True.
Allegheny was a New York airline with the New York attitude, and Piedmont was a Charlotte, North Carolina airline with a very southern, how y'all doing attitude. And I remember one captain telling me a story that they were, when you interviewed at Piedmont, they put you in a sim and dropped you in there and had you shoot a traffic pattern, do a few things. I had to do that myself, a couple of like air train interview and stuff, and UFS. Anyway, he said that this guy comes in with this thick New York accent, right? He's like from Brooklyn. And he's like, yeah, I'm here for the check ride, or however you say that. You know, you're going to have to do the accents for me. But he's getting in the seat, and the instructor, the guy that's giving the check, it's not a check ride, it's just a quick check, you know, to see if you know how to fly. And he goes, okay, to adjust the seat, you pull that handle up there, and he goes like this. He said the guy goes, and waves his hand. He goes, I know how to do it. And he's like, dude, it was over at that point. It didn't matter if he aced it. At that point, we don't want this guy. You know, that's all it took. Oh, by the way, what's the time? 7:14, first tangent. I was just contacted by a aviation podcast. I had on my Pilots and Prop Wash channel, if you guys didn't know, I just passed the 1 year since retirement milestone on 1st of April. And I did a video in late April on that channel. I didn't put it on both channels. I just put it on that channel about 1 year after retirement. What's it like? Well, they saw that and they liked it, and they said, "Hey, why don't you come on our podcast?" This doesn't pay anything or anything like that. It's just, so I told them, "Yeah, I'd love to," and so I'll be on I forget the name of it. I'm sure I'll post it all over the place so you guys watch it. But I'm going to be on a podcast sometime in the next few weeks or month, whatever, about a bunch of stuff, aviation podcast. So anyway, with that,
yeah.
So
we all have these great flight stories.
Oh God, everybody does.
From spending all this time. One of the best stories I have is I was flying back from Germany, or actually from Amsterdam, and I land at JFK, and I go through customs, and I can't find my passport.
Whoa!
I lost my passport.
That's when the sphincter tightens.
So they pull me aside and show them ID and the whole 9 yards. They scanned my fingerprints to run my fingerprints to make sure that I was who I said I was. Then they gave me a quiz that I don't think anybody applying for citizenship in this country would get a test with this many questions about things that you should know about the history.
Have you seen those comedy videos where they, like to get in there, and those are freaking hilarious. And here's how it would go. If they said, all right, you say you're an American citizen. How many people are in the U.S. Congress? The answer, drunk or sober.
Yeah. It was all that kind of stuff. How many, and I'm like, so the guy says, he says, where do you think your passport is right now? I said, it's probably on the black market in Iran.
Tom Fox says, tangent, pull up.
Yeah. I said, it's probably in Iran with some guy putting his picture on there and selling it.
Oh, where are you from? New York. I believe it.
And they just looked at me and then, okay. So they charged me $40 to enter the country. And
where was your passport?
I lost it. I don't know. Don't you know? 3 weeks later in the mail at my house, it showed up in an envelope.
From where?
From Germany.
Oh, God bless the Germans. You got a lot of people can rag on the Germans for a lot of things, but they're about the most honest people around. Sometimes annoyingly so.
And I had already gotten another one because I went and got another one. But I was like, I never.
As long as they didn't cancel the old one, just keep it as backup.
Yeah, never thought I was going to see that again.
Did you know pilots, professional pilots, are allowed to have? If you're employed as a pilot, you're allowed to have a second passport legally.
Didn't know that.
There's a reason for that. Okay, guys, prepare to be educated.
Bill,
if you're watching, you probably already know the answer to this because Bill spent a lot of time dealing with airport security.
Cass Wayne says, one of the questions was, name all of Liz Taylor's husbands?
There was the one killed in a plane crash, the 4 she divorced, close enough. His freight service was losing by TSA. The reason that pilots can have a second passport, there are some countries that will not allow stamps from others. And I cite, for example, if you fly in the Middle East, you need 2 passports if you're an American pilot, and here's why. You need one to go to Israel and one that will never have an Israeli stamp. Now, it's probably not as much of a thing now because people just scan the passports, they don't stamp them unless you ask for it. But, well, a lot of countries don't. But if you were going to any Middle Eastern country other than Israel with an Israeli passport stamp, they looked, they would not let you in. So, okay, you got one for going to Israel and one, and I'm sure there are other places that are like that. And the pilots, I only had the one because we didn't go overseas much, but then we did as much as the Caribbean, South America. But the one of the things that pilots, or I should say flight crew, learn real quick, and the young people don't always get this, and Steve, you know this because you traveled overseas. If you go to a foreign country, and I'm including Canada, by the way, which, by the way, guys, is in fact a country, okay? Don't go swaggering in there like it's the 51st state of America. That will not play well. If there's an issue, don't talk about your right to this or your right to that. They don't play that.
No.
Okay?
No.
I can tell you stuff that foreign customs agents have done, which is routine practice for them. What you do is you smile or you look down and you go, okay, I did not know that. Thank you very much. Okay? A little humility goes a long way. You puff up your chest and act like the swaggering American, it's probably the first spanking you've had since 2nd grade.
In a very clean room.
Depends on the place. Not in the Bahamas. Okay, you brought this on. Okay. Since you said clean room, let me tell you about a not clean room. Okay.
Okay. I mean, like in prison.
No, but although I got touched like I was in prison, perhaps I offered too much. We were in the Bahamas, in Nassau, which I have gone to literally more times than I can count. I actually have no idea how many times I've been there. The plane broke. Actually, I did the walk around and the right engine was on fire. Not a big fire, but when I did the walk around, I saw this brown smoke coming out and there was a little flame in the burner can. It's like, shit! Oh, I didn't mean to say that. Anyway, so I run inside the cockpit, tell the FO, get everybody off the plane, which is just the flight crew. I dry motor the engine to blow it out. Accordion, grab the checklist and go through real quick. I call in tower, tell them, hey, we got a fire on the right engines and the fire trucks. You're not going to believe what the guy in the tower in Nassau said. And he grabbed, I do not see any smoke, man. Well, I did. I was just there. So they send one guy out in a fire department pickup truck. Now, I'd blown the flame out. And what it was, probably residual oil had caught on fire. What that meant, we had a leak in one of the seals. The plane was grounded. Now, not to give you guys more information than you want, but if you're in most foreign countries, Canada, Nassau, more than 2 hours, you have to clear customs. On the normal turn, you're in and out, you don't do any of that stuff. But this time we did. So we go through, we clear, we went inside, the plane's break, we're waiting on a recovery ship. So we go inside, we go into the terminal, we walk around, we come through customs, all the usual stuff, and we get back to the gate. And now we're just passengers on a deadhead. And I remember I bought a Coke Zero to have something to drink, and it was because it was cold up north. I had my uniform coat with me, and of course we're in Nassau, so it's 90 freaking degrees. But anyway, this is where I screwed up. They go, Captain, we need to tow the airplane out of the way and make the gate available. Well, that's a fair request. Would you ride the brakes so that we can, because we don't have a mechanic handy, and you have to be, quote unquote, cockpit qualified to ride the brakes. Can you ride the brakes with a tug and so we get part of a remote area? Absolutely. Not a problem, my friend. Me and the FO hop in the plane, then run through our checklist, turn the beacon on. You guys ready down on comms? Yeah, we'll pop the brake. They push us back. They tow us to the area. And we set the brake, shut everything down. Plane secured. Great. We come down the air stair. We're ready to go back to the terminal. Oh, as Mike Machat would say, but there's more. If you look about 200 meters that way, there's this big yellow line. They go, oh, you've gone outside the security zone. You have, and like, oh, we have to go through customs again. And not a big deal. Oh, no, mate. They closed at 11 p.m.
Now you're stuck here.
Almost. We have to search you. So they put us in this unair-conditioned, dilapidated old, I think it was a Sable station wagon.
Oh, God.
Drive us over to the guard shack. Dude, what I'm about to say, I wish I was exaggerating. Okay? They put us up against the car like arrested people. Hands on the car, legs spread, and patted us down. And that boy was enjoying what he was doing. He was making sure nothing unauthorized got through. I got a groin grope the likes of which I hadn't had since the police academy.
Well, at least you knew your prostate was good.
When we were done, I literally felt violated. Because I had been. And I'm thinking, here's this Bahamian minimum wage customs guy who gets a chance to jack up an American airline captain, with his big money and his big car and his big house in the States, and he was milking it for all it was worth. And
can you imagine the stories he told when he got back home? Guess what I did at work today?
Pretty much.
I violated a U.S. airliner captain.
That is about what happened. So they let us back up the air stair into the stairway to the jet bridge because we weren't going through security. Now, one reason they were being and they went through our bags, and I don't mean like a curse. I mean they were dumping our dirty underwear out and everything. Well, okay, now I'm kind of exaggerating a little. They did go through our bags, pulled everything out. They did not go through the dirty underwear, which is odd because that's where everybody stashes their stuff. And we had to put our own bags back together. And they drove us over there. But they were taking us around security, so I can kind of understand. But do not let that Bahamian accent fool you. All right, they're popo. They're popo. And a lot of them may not carry guns, but they're as tough and mean and as uptight and arrogant as a lot of them you'll find in a lot of places. Anyway, we got up there, and I just sat there in my orange crush just brooding. I mean, even Coke Zero couldn't make this violation go away. And I was like, okay.
So I have a proposal to make to the group.
Mm-hmm.
I think that somewhere in the schedule, and I'd like to hear what you guys think of this.
I know where you're going with this. I'm bringing up word to change it right now.
You should add in a group build for defunct airlines.
Okay. Okay, I did not mean to do that. I hit the wrong button. Go to Word. Go to Schedule Doc. All right, the race car build is due. Okay, here's the way it stands right now. Our build, the 15th of this month, we have the first build. Guys, it doesn't have to be the first kit you build. It can be something close to it, just an early build. This is not a college exam. We're here to have fun. I want you to build a replica of the first kit you ever built, but if you can't find it, something close will do. We're not going to audit you. Then we got the Indy F1 car on June 30th. I have to still get Steve. I meant to ask you if you have one you could just sell me. Then we have the Navy jet on July 30th, armor build August 30th, a crossover build September 30th. Everybody's been asking me. I have gotten a lot of emails about what is a crossover build. It's like when they do crossover episodes of television. I want you to take two things that wouldn't normally go together and put them together. one example I gave was like, have the car from Knight Rider beside the car from Supernatural. Or have King Kong on top of the Empire State Building being attacked by X-Wing fighters. Something like that. Take two unrelated genres, two unrelated events, and put them together in a diorama form or something like that. That's what the crossover build is. Use your imagination and have fun with it. That's the whole idea of all this stuff. Then a seaplane build on October 30th. That's what I'm saving that Seamaster for. That you and the boys at Atlantis got me. I'm very grateful for that. Then the race car build on November 30th is any kind of race car. Okay, it can be anything. It can be a mini bike if it's made for racing or a race motorcycle. So I'm going to put December 30th. I'm adding in it right now. December. I'm not going to make it a 31st because that's everybody's going to have things to do. I'm going to make December 30th defunct airline build. So, and how did I misspell airliner? It just didn't take one. Okay. File, save. Now, getting back to what I'm sure everybody was wondering. I hope you're watching the comments because I haven't had a panel. There you go. TWA already, it's 30 years old. I'll take it.
They're all in.
Oh, by the way, Tommy Anderson, guys, Tommy, our good friend Tommy Anderson, had a mishap. He got injured. He was in the hospital. He's back home now. Tommy, I hope you're feeling better, brother. And
what's a Transcar?
Transcar?
Yeah.
I am not touching that one. I haven't had that much to drink.
I mean, like a Transformer?
Oh, you could do like a Transformer fighting TIE fighters in Star Wars. That would be a nice crossover.
Or a Gundam fighting a...
Well, that's what I'm Transformer Gundam. Yeah. Does Spirit Airlines count? Absolutely.
Yeah. Would spur this on.
Absolutely. Which, by the way, I checked. There are no kit models of Spirit Airlines. There are decal sets available for them, which I used on the card for the intro. But there's nobody marketing it. Spirit probably didn't have the rights to it. And plus, a lot of people... Okay, why would anybody do that? But it's funny you mention that. I got that Golden Knights Fokker 27 that I'm working on. I painted all the camel yellow on it for the stripe down the side. But, of course, obviously I have deliberate overspray. And I was thinking, I could make a Spirit Airlines airplane out of this. So, real quick, just to address the 800-pound gorilla in the room that is not me. A lot of you guys, I've gotten a lot of emails from a lot of folks about a lot of stuff, which, to answer the questions, why Transcar, I don't know what that is, so impress me. Send me the pictures. If it doesn't qualify, I'll let you know. But the, a lot of folks have said, what caused, because it's been a little while since an airline went under. I mean, one of any size. But a couple of little dinky ones went under. That happens every day. But folks were asking me what caused Spirit to go under. And 10 years ago, Spirit was clearing a bigger profit margin, more dollar profit than JetBlue, and they were a smaller airline. I remember thinking, my God, how are they making all this money? Let me profit. God, you know what? I might have to start a Pilots and Prop Wash live stream, just talk about aviation, because it always bleeds over into this channel. But let me explain real quick. First off, Windover. If you guys have ever watched the Windover videos, he does a lot of great. He talked about why these little airlines fail, like Monarch and these others, and no, not the Monarch that chases Godzilla, but the actual Monarch Airlines. Why these airlines fail and how the pricing strategies and the seasonal work works and everything. I want you to understand that budget airlines operate on a very, very delicate system, that even the slightest disruption can put a 20 or 30 year veteran airline out of business in one season. It's that delicate. First off, you've heard the phrase that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting the same result. I think the definition of insanity is trying to make money by starting an airline. Budget airlines operate on such a wafer-thin margin and count on so many things to fall in place that it borders on insanity. And what happens is they get away with it for a long time, and then one bad season and they're gone. Spirit's case, they haven't made a profit in 6 or 7 years. Now, I remember 10 years ago, they were making more than JetBlue was because the conditions were just right. But when those conditions changed, man, you talk about being market sensitive. And Spirit had watched all their cash just erode away. Now, there are 3 things I think that buried them. One, we offered JetBlue when I was there, and Robin was the CEO. They offered $3.8 billion for Spirit Airlines. They did this for a couple of reasons. One, Spirit was looking at a merger with Frontier, and JetBlue was freaking out. Our management team understood that if Frontier and Spirit joined forces, they would be bigger than us, and they could really cause an impact. So we're like, okay, we got to do something to. I'm trying not to use that word or that phrase. We had to do something to run interference on that. And we also realized that, hey, look, they said they fly the same kind of planes we do. I mean, they need a refit, but their crews are trained, and there's not a whole lot of overlap. We actually would be that bad of a merger idea, so let's offer for them. God, I am really about to bore the crap out of you guys. We had tried to merge. We had tried to buy out Virgin America. And Alaska came in, swooped in with a much better bid. It was like I want to say it was over $1 billion. And we were offering, I forget what it was, $700-800 million. And we're like, are you out of your mind? There's no way Virgin America, they're worth half of what you're offering. Well, obviously, a stockholder saw this deliciously beautiful money coming in and said, yeah, we'll take that deal. And they just stole it from us. And I was like, ow. Man, that one hurt. I mean, that had not been done before. And I was like, you watch. This is going to bankrupt. Because I know so freaking much. I was like, you watch. Alaska's going to rue the day they did this. They spent $1 billion whatever for Alaska. For Virgin America. They'll never pay that debt off. They are going to, because leveraged debt has killed more airlines than high fuel prices. And we look, and they merged. And the next thing I know, Alaska is making a profit within like 2 quarters. I'm like, how did they pull that off? Well, that's because Alaska Airlines management is, what's that word I'm looking for, Steve? Competent. They knew exactly what they were doing. They saw the threat that we posed if we merged with Virgin America, and they weren't having it. They also knew that they could integrate it and do all these great things with it, and they did, and Alaska is going gangbusters. Education for Max and everyone else at JetBlue. What is Nipper, Albany, New York, your t-shirt?
Nipper, for those of us who are old enough to know, Nipper was the RCA
The dog.
mascot, the dog.
Yeah.
Nip.
The one barking into the
Right.
Victorola.
Listening, right, who was listening to his master's voice. That was the slogan. Well, in Albany, they had a factory. And on top of that factory, to this day, is a 30-foot statue of Nipper. And when I was up there, like a month or so ago, visiting my son, and we were driving from Albany, and we're on the highway, and I look over and I go, what's that giant statue of Nipper over there? And he goes, oh, he said, I never saw that. So I didn't think anything of it. So he brings me to the train station, and I go into the little sundry shop to get a soda, and they're selling all these shirts and hoodies with Nipper on it because it's a big tourist thing up there.
You guys can blame the diatribe I'm about to go on Frank Field since he brought it up. Budget Airlines, great name for an airline. Rising Sun Airlines, how about Divine Wind Airlines? In Japanese, that's kamikaze. Guys, since you brought that up, JetBlue's working title when they were building the airline was New Jet. But and then it was going to be Air Taxi, but they realized all the problems that would cause, and they settled on JetBlue. Now, after the purchase of Virgin America by Alaska, we learned that lesson, then we aimed at Spirit, and because Spirit was talking about merging with Frontier, and those two actually would have made a good merger, comparable business models. But our boss wasn't having that because we also, just like Alaska had seen the threat that a merger between Virgin America and JetBlue would cause, we saw the threat that a merger between Spirit and Frontier would cause. So we made a $3.8 billion offer for Spirit, way more than they were worth. But it accomplished several. First off, we learned from Alaska that you can do this and pull it off. Now, I'm going to bore you guys with a little trivia here, and if the numbers start dropping, I don't blame them. But here's what happened. And I was there for a ringside seat to this. Although, and I talked to management people about it and everything else, and oh God, I'm such an airline nerd. Anyway, we moved to buy Spirit. Spirit and Frontier were already kind of chummy, and their management teams were really set for this. They were ready to do it. Then we come in as this interloper, and I don't know exactly how to paraphrase this. Think of a movie where there's a pair of romantic partners, a boy and a girl, and then a third girl comes in who nobody likes because she's kind of a dork, but she manages to push the other girl out of the way and force a relationship on the guy. Not exactly Romeo and Juliet, but you catch where I'm going with this. Neither one of them wanted JetBlue, okay? But we were waving cash at them. And, I mean, a lot of cash. I mean, a lot of $3.8 billion. I think that's the right number. Anyway, yeah, I'm sure somebody's Googling it right now. I better read the comment section because... No? Okay. Anyway, so... the management teams don't want us in the mix. They want to force the merger, so they kind of ignore us. But, of course, as we all know from the effects of social media on the modern news, once the word got out via social media and then the mainstream media that we were offering half again what Frontier was offering, the stockholders, and remember that thing I was talking about earlier about maximizing stockholders' wealth? When the stockholders found out that the Frontier and Spirit gang were management teams were trying to ignore this lucrative offer, they were like, you work for us. We don't care what you want. It was, I had never seen anything like that before. And it was getting ugly. And the management team actually was trying to kind of ignore the stockholders. We all know how all that works out. Breaking Wind Airways. Okay. So they wound up being forced to consider our offer. And it was so big they had to take it. And then, of course, as you know, that judge, what was his name? Butler? I forget his name. Everything was done. It was a locked deal. We were going to get Spirit. Okay. And then this judge shoots it down and says, no, because it'll affect the blah, 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 blah market. And he didn't know what he was talking about.
We're starting to get a lot of, and what does this have to do with plastic models?
You know what? You guys are right. So let me just finish up real quick. Right, that's why I want to get this out of the way. The judge blocked it, and for JetBlue, it was probably the best thing he could have done because Spirit had bought a whole bunch of these jets with the engines that turned out to be very problematic only a few months later. And so one thing that killed Spirit was they weren't allowed to merge, and secondly, they hadn't made a profit in 7 years, and thirdly, they got the jets with the defective engines. I mean, it made up half their fleet. They had to ground them. Their seat capacity was cut in half in a few years. And then, of course, the rising fuel prices, blah, blah, all the usual stuff. So, salute to Spirit for lasting as long as they did, and that's that. And by the way, speaking of models, there is no one that makes a kit model of the Spirit airplane. They have about 4 different paint schemes, but you have to buy aftermarket decals. And the first paint scheme was very basic because they were a glorified charter outfit. Second paint scheme was okay with the checkerboards. That was actually looked kind of good. The third paint scheme with the red, white, and blue S and blue on one side and white on the other, that was just, they did that because it was cheap. And then they went with banana yellow, which is what they're known for, which is actually a good paint scheme. It's safe because they're easy to see, and it's cheap because it's primarily one color. But you're going to have to go and buy yourself some decals if you want to make a Spirit airplane. And we will do a build on defunct airlines. And the nice thing about that is there are all kinds of defunct airlines out there. So you've got a wide range of choices. And I'll bet some of you guys have models of defunct airlines on your shelf as we're speaking. Now, getting back to making decals, which is actually what I had wanted to, that kind of had set up as my thing for the night. But we got the monkey off our back about Spirit. So I made some decals for Gunzilla. That is the Chinook that I'm modifying. Now, making decals, first off, I cannot emphasize this enough. My advice is find or get, if you don't have, a laser printer. It is going to make your life so much easier. I made these decals. I used a little bit of artwork that I did in Google AI, added it, stuck it into paint, went to Word, curved the letters, added them to paint, just dressed it up. Took me about 10 minutes, maybe 15. And in fact, let me show you what the decals actually look like when that's not the ones I wanted. There we go. I'm putting up some pictures of decals that I made, a decal sheet that I made. One of them is a screen grab from Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That's the one I did for the Convair 990, which I know the one in the movie was actually an 880. But Air East Flight 31, if you guys remember the famous Indianapolis Center scene from the 1977 movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which I think is one of the best pieces of Hollywood recreation of reality ever done. I grabbed a screen grab, cropped it, did a few things to it in paint, made this image of it, did the Air East logos for the model airplane. Also, I did, for the Chinook, I did Gunzilla, again, a little AI work, along with some word that was curved, and then deleted the unneeded stuff, blah, 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 for Gunzilla. And I did the Monarch logo simply by doing a screen grab and then just playing with it in paint. This is so easy to do. We have never had it better when it comes to making decals. By white decal sheet, unless you need it to be clear. If you get clear decal sheet, even with a laser printer, I warn you something. Some colors like yellow don't show up well. So if you use clear decal sheet and make a yellow lettered or a lighter color lettered decal and then cut it out on clear decal sheet and put it over your model, it may not pop. You may need to lay 2 or 3 of the decals down right on top of each other to get the numbers to pop. When you use white decal sheet, they pop great. They look just like they do here. And this is an example. Here is the Gunzilla decals. The one thing is printers do not print white. So if you need white, you're going to have to do it in reverse negative on white decal sheet and trim it out. That can get tricky. Yes, kit model companies and professional decal companies do white, but they have the machines for it. You're not going to get a home printer to do it. White is seen as transparent to the average home computer. Steve, anything to add?
No, it's correct. It's difficult. It's not difficult to create it. It's difficult to get it printed right.
Right, exactly. And if you remove the background, a lot of times it eliminates what white is there because it sees white as a background color. And this Chinook is going to be awesome when I'm done with it. It's going to have that third engine, which you already see mounted to the aft pylon. And by the way, it is pylon for that fore and aft rotor mast areas are off the pylons. I couldn't remember the word for some reason because my blonde was showing. And the Monarch logos were super easy to do. They were the easiest ones to work with. I just grabbed a screen grab and cropped it down. But if you're making decals, if you're putting them over a white area where you can use white decal paper, that makes life a lot simpler. If not, you're going to have to trim it out very close. And one of the things I'm happy to say is that the decal sheet that I've been using, the white decal sheet, does not leave a white edge. So when you trim it off, you don't have to worry about coloring in the edge. It'll blend as you see here. But
Lance Ravel says he's printed white by setting the color to very light gray, and as it prints, the eye sees it as white.
yeah, if you can get by with a very light gray, that will work. But if you need like pure white, you've got a challenge ahead of you. To be honest, most people can't. Now, one thing you can do is you could, and this will work, but it's a lot of work, especially if you're trying to do text. You can print it on the white and print it on clear. Put the white decal in position, let it harden, trim off what you don't need. That's going to be tricky, but you can do it, and then put the clear printed one on top of it. Line it up, and it will pop. But it's a lot of work, but it will work. And I recommend that you put the white one on, solid set it, or trim it, solid set it, and then clear coat it, and then put the color one on above it. The one on clear above it. Or, because you guys have seen the models, we've all seen the models where they, it's getting popular these days, where you'll get like the markings for a U.S. Air Force emblem, but it'll come with this flat gray piece that you put on first, and then you put the decal on top of that, and that's why. And they're creating a space for you to use the decal on. So if you can do that, that will work. But if you've got a lot of text that you're trying to trim out, that gets really, really, really tricky. But, you know, you can also take a photo of the side of the model, put it in the printer, size it, put the decal over it, say, okay, print this whole thing on white paper the way you see it with whatever paint scheme is behind it, and it'll try to match the colors. That might work. That's a little iffy, though. And obviously patience is key.
Has anybody experienced difficulty finding bare metal foil?
I haven't. I got a bunch of it.
I've been trying to find some the last couple of days. Nobody has it, and they say they're having a hard time getting it.
My printer did just say it's running out of yellow, but I haven't gone to look for a new cartridge yet. But I don't do that much printing, of course. My wife does, though. Well, so printing decals, if you're going to do water slide decals with an inkjet printer, and I know a lot of you guys already know this, that once you print them out, you gotta let them dry, then you gotta cover with at least 3 coats of clear coat, and you get 1 shot to apply them. If you don't, they will disintegrate. If you have a laser printer, it's almost like dealing with regular decals. I cannot emphasize enough how much better a laser printer is for this, because it's a melted wax. It's not ink on, and it just makes all the difference. I have got good results with inkjet printers in the past, but it usually took a couple of tries on a lot of the decals, and you're going to be doing some cleanup. But if you want to make decals that are really, 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 really nice, I have gotten, who was it? The ones for the C-57 D-cockpit that I got, that came with it. I forget who made the something dog decals. They were done on inkjet printer, and I had 1 chance to get them on. If I took a second try, the stuff started bleeding. So now the silk decals, the ones that are on the Golden Knight Fokker 27, the only ones I've used so far are the ones that went inside the windows for the canvas straps. Those were awesome, but they tell you they don't bend well, so you're going to have to use a lot of salt. And they tell you the solid set does not affect the medium. It affects the film, which might help them lay down, and so you can still use it. But they tell you to use a setting solution first, and then if you're going to go on with, what was it, Microsol afterwards, or Mark Fit or something like that, all it's going to deal with is the clear part. It's not going to affect the decal. I don't know if they're if they're using wax 3D printing or what, but they're pretty stiff. But so far they've worked out really, really well. And printing decals is a bit of a challenge, but one of the things that's changed everything is you can use the AI and stuff to make these really great images for you if you give it enough information. The let me put it back up here. The Godzilla logo or the decals that I had made in the past, using the decal of the air traffic controller, of course, is just a screen grab. But the ones with Godzilla, I typed in what I wanted. I wanted a cartoon of Godzilla using Google AI, Gemini. I want a cartoon Godzilla with a minigun, firing a minigun, and the Godzilla text was done separately and added on. And so was the sky blue background. I had made a sky. I just told it, I want a cloudy sky cartoon, so it made that. And then I said I want Godzilla chomping on a cigar, stomping down the street with a minigun. And I erased all of the city and broken streets and all that. You can see a little bit under his feet. And it said, okay, and I just added one to the other as a transparency and built up that image. And it came out great. I am the only problem is that it really the logo isn't just isn't that big. I almost thought of putting a big one up on the aft pylon, but I thought that's a little too gaudy. And and by the way, don't worry, it's not going to lie. I can see the glue and everything from where I put the gear doors, and that's all going to be painted over. That's I was like, man, this is, and I made two of them. One of them was just I cut out the circle. The other one I made it more of like a cloudy, deliberately made a uneven edge surface to kind of go with the clouds in the background. The other one I just did a round circle. I think I like the round one better. But man, I was like, we can complain about AI, but it makes some really cool decals. Wendell says bare metal foil is at Hobby Lobby in downtown Texas, so your local Hobby Lobby might have some.
No, they didn't. I tried.
Frankie Day uses HVAC aluminum foil and duct tape. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, Frankie does a lot of interesting stuff.
Yeah, it'll show up sooner or later somewhere.
Hey, in the old days we used Hershey bar wrapper. I remember using aluminum foil from my mom's kitchen. And question I have: gold pinstripes Anita X24B. Would it be easier to mask off and paint or thinly? Oh, I definitely go with the decals. When it comes to trying to mask off stuff that's thin, my experience has been that it between the bleed on the tape and everything else, it just doesn't work out well. Decals are much better for pinstriping or thin striping. And I cannot believe that your old buddy Dean, the car guy,
Dean Jeffries,
could hand paint all those pinstripes.
Let me tell you, I went to college with a guy, and his nickname was Spider. And he used to pinstripe cars, and he would do it by hand with the brush. And I would just watch him and be amazed that he could pinstripe a car in half an hour, and it would look phenomenal.
He just had that gift. His eyes and brain processed the information the way necessary.
It was just a talent.
I can't draw a straight line. But when you want to make decals, another thing I highly recommend is don't get cheap with the paper. Get the good quality stuff. Laser printer, you'll be so much better off. I know there's a temptation to buy the cheaper stuff because it's like, but when you're actually doing it, you are going to come to regret that. Well, with the laser printer, I don't even have to use any sealer or anything. I just cut the things out and they go right on. And the paper, 10 seconds in warm water and they're ready to slide off. And man, when they go in, they stick. It's sometimes almost hard to adjust them a little bit. And I'm very happy with them. But Now I got a bunch of leftover Gunzilla and Monarch decals. I don't know what I'm going to do with. But and the other thing is that you can find decal sheets on ScaleMates and other places. A lot of places you go, hey, and that allows you the opportunity to, if you've got a kit that has old decals, instead of trying to put them in the sun and hope they'll clear up, or trying to, if you can scan them, that can work too. But then you got to trace off all the bad area and clean up all the blemishes. A lot of times, you go online and find a picture of them, and the computer can do the rest for you. We do live in a golden age of model building where that's concerned. But what I hate is when you use like stock decals that just don't fit. And we've all had that. I had that problem with the North Central Convair, the ones that were from ATP, which were really nice decals, but they were too long for the airplane. I don't know if they were actually made for a different kit. And one other thing to remember, if you're building Convairs or Martins, like the 202, the 404, these airplanes are not all the same length. Some are 440s, some are 240s, and they had a different fuselage length. So that, the details matter. You checking the comments?
Yes.
Oh. Some, okay. So that's my buddy Billy has to take off. So anyway, one of the things that I have here for us today to play with is I have the build cam set up here with all these models beside me. And Steve, we're talking about defunct airline build. So I brought out a bunch of airliner models, which I happen to have normally here in the shelf. And as I look at them, I just realized all of these airlines are defunct. All right, let's take a looky-see here. Let's go transform, fit to screen. All right, what do we have here? We have PSA, it's gone. Continental, it's gone. One's military. Braniff is gone. BEA is gone. Jeez.
Piedmont's gone.
All right. Let's look at them one at a time. These are not all Maryland models, just one I had here. Okay. Pacific Southwest Airlines, PSA. I got the Lockheed Electra, the Smile liners. And, oops, okay, stay, Simba. The Electra, the Forgotten Turboprop. Good airplane. Had a couple of accidents early in its career that sort of ruined its reputation.
PSA. Jim Kewer's father worked for PSA.
Oh, did he now?
Yeah, for many years.
PSA was the California airline that was actually really... I can remember all the game shows. I used to watch like Match Game, and the consolation prize was was a bunch of rice-a-roni. That was consolation prize, a rice-a-roni, the San Francisco treat. Good Lord, man, that was good advertising. I remember it 50 years later.
And you'll be flying on PSA to San Francisco to pick up your box.
Yes, they would always. The winner would always get a weekend vacation someplace. They'd fly them on PSA, and actually a good airline.
Wasn't PSA the one that collided with the plane over San
Diego? Yes, at Lindbergh Field in San Diego.
Yep.
I think it's San Diego. Actually, I think it was PSA had 2 mid-airs, and it wasn't their fault. Neither one of them. Both 727s, I remember right. I could be wrong on that, but I remember one of them hit a plane near one of those light aircraft. The other one, I think, hit an Aeromexico flight, or maybe it was Aeromexico. But PSA had a couple of real tragedies that were so sad, and it wasn't anything the airline did wrong. It was just, the primitive technology and radar of the day, and I think the character generator on one of the controller's things was having a problem, so his information was delayed. And when you're dealing with airplanes moving in the sky, of course, this airplane was really made famous by the Navy as the P-3 Orion and as the Ares. But it was actually a really good airframe once they figured out the problems. But after a few crashes early in its career, people wouldn't get on them. Eastern operated a bunch of them. They loved them. Ed Rickenbacker wanted to keep them. He didn't want jets. That's one of the reasons they retired him as a chairman. Is that he was like, I'm perfectly happy. We're doing perfectly fine with our turboprops. We don't need these jets. You just guys want shiny new toys. And like, everybody else is getting them. We got to compete. No, we don't. Yes, we do. You're fired. And that's how that went. So this is, I believe, 1 to 1. What is this? 1 to 144 scale. Let me see here. Yeah, 1 to 144 scale.
Who made that kit?
This is a Minicraft. I've heard people complain about Minicraft. I haven't personally had bad luck with them. I don't know. So let's see. You checking the comments because I'm busy doing this.
Yes.
Engine props, more. Yeah, that's right. It was the prop, the engine harmonics. Exactly right. They put rubber-mounted engines on there, and the problem went away. Here's one of our favorites, Hawk. And of course, they made both the Continental. I have another one up here. I didn't for Capital Airways. I built this kit as a Glencoe repop, and it's actually not a bad kit. It comes with the air stair and a couple of people and everything. And when I was a brand new jet captain up in Columbus, Ohio, I was in a one studio apartment, and there was a hobby shop in Columbus, Ohio, a few miles away. And I was in there probably once, twice a week, and I would just sit in my dinky little one room apartment and build models. I built the Monogram Dingwa P-51. I built this, and I bought the Gloucester Gladiator and from Lindbergh, which is one of their best kits, I think. But this is a nice, solid kit, and I don't want to build it because it's an original Hawk, and I can always get the Glencoe repop. And the Viscount, of course, the first turboprop airline. People forget this plane came out just a few years after World War II. I mean, that's how fast things were changing. Had those Rolls-Royce darts on it. The Dart was a good engine, but it was very sensitive. And I remember a friend of mine was flying a Fokker 27, ironically. And I can't look at the F-27 when I think about this. He showed me he was flying for, what was that operation out of Denver, North Carolina? Mountaineer Cargo. It's a FedEx feeder. And he was first officer in a Fokker 27 flying out of Tallahassee. And he actually came over to JetBlue. He's over there now. Calvin. That's his name. Calvin's a good guy. Anyway, when you're pre-flight in the airplane, you got to get the ambient temperature and pressure and everything. You got to put all these calculations and these little tickler switches that you got to put in to preset the engines to get everything set up right. It's all manual, nothing automatic like on later ones. So they were good engines, but it was all very, very manual. You had to make your power adjustments very slowly, and you couldn't, they were old school turbines, but the Brits did a great job with that engine. It powered so many aircraft, and it was a standard turboprop for a lot of airplanes for a long time. And there's still probably some of them out there flying today. The mighty Viscount. I sat in the cockpit of a Viscount one time in a museum. I looked at the instrument panel. It couldn't have been more British. I mean, crap was all over the place. Scan from hell. Let's see. What else do we have here? Of course, I built the Hawk Convair C-131, which was basically a Convair 240. I didn't realize as a kid when I bought this kit, those are MiGs around the airplane. Somebody got off course. But this airplane, as I recall, came with no clear parts. You know what? Let me open it and see. Of course, God knows how old this kit is. Oh, wait a minute. Is it wrapped in plastic? Look at that. It's in plastic.
Jim Mesco says, has anyone mentioned there's a Wikipedia list of defunct U.S. airlines?
There is.
With over 100 listed with many photos.
Yep. Okay, this bag is open, but I don't know if this bag is original to the kit or not. But,
Be right back after you get something.
yeah, I don't see any clear parts in here. So, there's a story behind this that I'm hesitant to share because after 50 plus years, it's still a little embarrassing. So, let's see if the decals are any good. Oh, the previous owner put it back in because the decals and instruction sheet are in plastic also. Those decals could probably be salvaged. So, I probably shared this story before, but in fact I know I have. But back around, I don't know, let's see, 1968, 69, I had to save my allowance, my 30-cent allowance, for 4 weeks to go get a model because I normally bought a 1/48 scale monogram airplane. And at 30 cents a week, it took me 4 weeks to save $1.20 so that I could go get the model for $1, pay the 4-cent tax, and then had a little bit of change left over, glue or a bottle of paint or something, which was like 19 cents back then. So I spent some of my money on something else and didn't have $1 left. And this kit was 69 cents, so I was able to buy it. Took it home, built it, and for some mysterious reason, I want to brag, I showed an unpainted, decaled kit to my mom of this airplane, which had no clear parts. I remember that distinctly. And my mom looked at it, and to give you an idea how savvy my mom was, she said, "You paid $1 for this?" And I'm like, just busted. So, you know, like any good spy, you just dig your heels in, like, oh, yeah, that's more than it. And she just read me the riot act about spending $1 on a kit that clearly wasn't worth it. And I was like, whoa, props to Mom. I did not give her enough credit. What I was worried about is that she's going to take me to the store and complain, at which point they would have said, no, it's only 69 cents. He paid 73 cents with tax. And she would have been like, where'd the other 50 cents go? And I would have been so busted. Luckily, she did not do that. Oh, my God. Now I know what the guys feel like when they're, you know, strapped to the table with the, you know, the Sturmbannführer. You'll answer the questions, yes? I don't mean to compare my mom to a SS Sturmbannführer, but, you know, what works, works. So I can't look at this kit without thinking about that. Now, you see, there are those styrene memories we tend not to talk about. Whoa, come back here. All right, what do we got next? This is an Airfix kit. It's a more recent one. That's Air Jersey. No, it's Jersey Airlines. Now, that's obviously in the UK. That's the Havilland Heron. I love this airplane. No one could... I mean, just the idea of such a small 4-engine airplane with those... Oh, I forget what they were. Gypsy Majors or Rangers, whatever they were, the inline engines. And I look at this and it's just so beautifully British. They're in the America. They bought these airplanes, brought these planes to America, but the Lycoming opposed engines on them, so they have the flat cowlings on them that go horizontally for the opposed engines. And I'm like, I get it. There's parts available in America. They're a domestic engine. They maybe put out a little more power. They're very reliable. But this one just looks so much cooler with those inverted. Oh, here's Ken's here.
Ken, oh.
I'm waiting for. Here we go. Here we go. Kenny made it.
Oh.
Hello, Ken.
Hi, guys.
It's Island Ken.
He got off the island. He escaped the island.
I got off the island and brought a little bit of red back.
A little bit of what? Oh, you're sunburned.
Yeah. Whoops. Did I just close it?
You know, Ken, you look like me when I stand in front of the microwave too long.
And do you yell, hurry?
Yeah, a little bit of burnt there. Yeah.
So, was this on your boat or someone else's boat?
Neither. We drove down. We're going.
I thought you were taking a ferry.
Well, Yeah, you have to take a ferry to get to the island. Yes.
What island?
Peanut Island.
What?
Peanut Island.
Where's that?
It is.
It's in
Riviera
Planters
Beach.
County.
What?
What?
It's in Planters County.
I shouldn't have asked. I knew that was coming.
Sure, Dave. No, it's in. It's just south of West Palm in Riviera Beach. It's right at the Palm Beach inlet, right smack in front of it, and it's an industrial port. So there's rather large ships coming in and out.
Well, that's cool, but what were you going to an industrial port for? Never mind.
I have to explain everything. Okay, the island is in the middle of the intercoastal. When you come in the port, the island is right there. You go around the island. What are you doing?
I have to step out for a second. You've got the con.
Okay.
Keep going. Don't stop.
What are you doing? Changing?
I've had a lot of water.
Okay. Anyway, so you have to go around the island. There's a channel that goes over to where the port is, and a small. It's a small container port. But the Peanut Island, the reason it's got that name is because many, many years ago, somebody had a proposal to put a peanut oil factory on the island. And ever since then, the name just stuck. And it's very nice. It's a very nice island. The island, the water around it is very clear. It's actually called the Bahamas of the Intercoastal or something along those lines.
How big is it?
The Bimini of Florida. The island?
Mm-hmm.
It might be half a mile around, something like
People
that.
live there?
I'm sorry, what?
Do people live there?
No. It's a park. Most of the island is a park. You can camp on the island. They do have campgrounds there, but to get over there, you have to take a ferry boat, unless you swim. Be a bit of a swim. You could do it. And there were, oh man, must have been 100 boats there. Easily, all the way around the island. The north side of the island's there's a lot of power boats up there, but it's too shallow for me to bring my boat in. I'll probably take my boat down to Lake Worth, which is just south of the inlet, and anchor it down there, and then bring my dinghy up to the island. It'll be a fun little trip. From the marina that I'm at down to Peanut Island would be about 12 to a 14-hour trip.
How long by car?
What's that?
How long by car?
2? A little bit less than an hour.
I vote for car.
Ken, I was telling Steve this earlier. Your desire to do things in your life does not outweigh my need for you to be here for the live stream. So don't get the idea that your needs outweigh mine, okay? And that of the Glue Troopers. Just say. Okay, so back to models. Let me get the pictures back.
Well, at least we got that clear.
There we go. Now it's clear.
Yeah, we got that out of the way. We can proceed.
Yeah. Okay, so there's the Heron. Let's see. Next one. The infamous, famous British Comet. De Havilland Comet by Hawk. And the airplane that both catapulted the UK to the absolute pinnacle of civil aviation and then crashed them straight to the bottom, literally. What a shame. But just a 3-hour cruise. This kit is another one that's surprisingly intact, and I don't see much. Whoa! Good move, Slick. Trying to get the glare off of it, and well, as long as I got the fuselage half out. This one has, I actually did build one of these. It's got the big opening cargo door, the side so you can see what's inside. Not exactly something that lends itself to technical accuracy, but
Round 2 repopped it.
yeah, the one I built was not a repop.
Oh, see, I built the repop.
Now, the engines are cost in the wings. Now, the upside is very aerodynamic. Downside is that if you have a fire, sometimes it's right up against the fuselage.
Yeah, or if it blows up.
Kaboom! Of course, ironically, that actually didn't have anything to do with any of the mishaps. And there's the famous footage of the British Nimrod, which is the Navy version of one of these, crashing at an air show because they basically honked it around like a fighter plane. But still, beautiful jet. And now I can't get the box to close. Put this in the room.
It's part of the Shell Island chain.
Okay.
Wait a minute. You mean the gas station company has an island? Now here is one that I'd like to do before too long. This is an interesting airplane for those of the BA Trident, basically the British answer to the 727. A lot of people don't realize this airplane actually had one version of this airplane had 5 engines. You had the 3 main engines, you had an APU, and you had a little booster engine. I don't know if it's this model or not. It's the 1C. I don't think that was the one, but and the landing, the nose gear came up sideways, so when it was down, it was sticking out of one side of the fuselage. Again, you don't get any more British than this airplane. It was interesting. But BEA, British European Airways, which is another defunct, realize none of these airlines are still around anymore.
Paul Adams says the Nimrod is flown by the Royal Air Force, not the Royal Navy.
I stand corrected. He is right. Which is all right. It's a Royal Air Force airplane, but it was I think primarily a submarine hunter, so it flew what in America is a Navy mission done by the P-3. So yes, you're absolutely right. Well, right now, I don't want to pick on the poor Brits, but their military capacity is, how can I put it, been somewhat diminished, especially where the Navy is concerned. But that is not for here to talk about. But the Trident was a very interesting plane. And like the VC-10, the 4-engine one, they have 2 engines on each side of the tail. Very British, had a lot going for it, but just couldn't compete with the 727. And they used to joke that BOAC, the British Overseas Airway Corporation, stood for the Boeing Only Airplane Club. They didn't want the British-built airplanes. They wanted the Boeings. And the Trident, one of the things I remember about the Trident, it was one of the first airplanes with a full auto-land system in it. And I remember them demonstrating it back in the 70s on television. The guy's turned around looking at you, chatting to the camera while the airplane is, you can see the runway out the windshield. The airplane's landing automatically. And I believe there's one of these still at the Cyprus airport, all shot to pieces, that was caught when the war in Cyprus broke out. I guess that would be between the Greek Cypriots and the is it Turkish Cypriots? But anyway, there's that no man's land where the airport's at, and I think it was 71 or 72, and BA Trident got caught out there and just they left it. They didn't have any choice, and that's one of the only ones left. They say if you go into the airport, it's 53 years, everything's covered in bird poop and dust, but it's like a time capsule. Got the old posters and everything. You can find photos online. Very interesting. The Trident, very interesting airplane. I've watched a few documentaries on it. That's the thing. I think wasn't it a Trident that they lost when it crashed? The pilot was Captain Stanley Key. I remember that name because never mind, doesn't matter why I remember it. But they were taking off and they pulled the droops up too fast, what they call the leading edge devices up too soon, and they think he was having a heart attack. And he had these 2 super junior guys with him that didn't question the captain. And long story, a lot of union politics and everything else. Really bad crash. It was, where was it? Not Stansted. Was it Stansted? Anyway, that's one of my aviation crash videos. But The airplane didn't have any lockouts in it. Modern jets, if you try to pull the flaps up too soon, they'll blow horns at you and lock them out and go, no, you can't do it. I mean, HAL takes over. But these older airplanes, you could you could put the flaps down going too fast or pull them up going too slow. They had no training wheels on them. But half the guys were captaining these things. Their first big airplane was a Lancaster when they were 18, so they were used to the manual atmosphere. But, I've never actually opened this box and looked at this kit. Is it open? No, it's taped shut. It looks like it's all taped up. But for some reason, I've wanted to build this, probably because I've never built a Trident. I just find it a very interesting airplane. All right, here's one most people are completely unfamiliar with, the YS-11. Basically a Japanese Convair with turboprops with darts on it. And the NAMC, which I think was Nissan Aviation Manufacturing Company, YS-11. I guess it was the 50s. The Japanese were trying to rebuild their aviation industry. So they designed this airplane, which some people claim is a ripoff of a Convair. And looking at it, I can certainly see a lot of similarities. But they built them, and they were really cheap. So a lot of American companies, Piedmont flew them. And a lot of cargo haulers got it, or Allegheny, I think, had some. And they were basically a glorified commuter airliner. All they tended to fly with mainline companies. And then they wound up getting relegated to cargo, and they were always considered a little underpowered. That's a lot of airplane for those two darts to haul around. But there's a story about one of these that I heard when I was flying out of Charleston, West Virginia. And oh my God, I had become that guy. It was a Piedmont flight, and this would have been in the 70s, I guess. And Charleston, West Virginia is ringed by mountains, but you go off one end of the runway, and it's a cliff down towards the river. It is not it's Chuck Yeager Field, and it is not an airport to trifle with. They say they leveled off 3 mountaintops to make the airport, and they say they moved more dirt than the Panama Canal, and I believe it. But it's easier when you're pushing the dirt off to go downhill than trying to dredge it out, but that's neither here nor there. So, they roar out of Charleston, West Virginia, packed solid on a hot summer day. I mean, the thing's barely getting off the ground. And it chucks an engine. The captain, realizing what happened, buries the rudder like he's supposed to. And he knows this puppy ain't going to fly. Luckily, the dead engine auto-feathered. And the gal that was in the right seat's on the radio, told him, hey, we lost an engine. And he just goes, I'm pushing it over. And he pushes the nose down and flies down into the valley to generate some speed. Gets the gear and flaps up. And it is not going to fly on one motor. Well, he generates enough speed going downhill, down into the river valley. And he just banks the airplane enough to follow the river. And he gets up enough speed that he's able, with the plane cleaned up and the other engine feathered, he's able to get enough speed to keep it flying. But he's down. But they've lost him on radar because he's down in the valley. He knows he ain't going to climb above those mountains, so he just starts flying down the river, making as gentle a turns as possible. And he's a curmudgeonly old salt that's been around forever. Probably flew B-17s or B-24s. And he's got the trim cranked in and got all trimmed up. And he just lets the airplane fly down the river and start burning fuel. Meanwhile, the passengers are back there clicking around away with their Brownie Instamatics because, oh, look at the beautiful view of the mountains. Probably completely clueless to the danger that they're in. And I've heard different stories that he had to fly as much as 60 miles to get up enough speed and burn off enough fuel that he dared climb the airplane up. Well, the guys in the tower are having absolute kittens. They saw this thing go off and drop down and you smoke a motor and go down into the valley. They're all calling the fire departments and the Civil Air Patrol and everything else and looking for a missing airplane. And they're just, and Charleston's down there, so that phrase crashed into a hotel or a school or something. Meanwhile, he's just soaring down the river on one engine.
Was the co-pilot able to talk to the tower?
No. Because they'd gotten down so low, the radio transmissions were getting blocked. So she's on the radio trying to mayday and pan and all that other stuff and raise anybody. And And once they went around the first curve and got a mountain between them and the tower, all radio communication was lost, as goes the story that I heard, which very likely has some writer embellishment. But anyway, after, depending on who you ask, 30 to 60 miles, he builds up enough steam that he's able to get like a 100 foot per minute rate of climb going. So after like 8 minutes, he's cleared.
Which is nothing.
Yeah.
100 is nothing.
Yeah. So after 8 or 10 or 12 or 15 minutes at, 4 miles a minute, or 2 or 3 miles a minute, he managed to get the thing above the hilltops, and he just keeps it climbing a straight line. He is not interested in making a turn. He's got plenty of fuel, which is kind of part of the problem. So he just keeps it going in a straight line till he can climb out, gets above the hills. They're able to make radio contact. Everybody leaves a sigh of relief. Like, you want to come back to Charleston? He's kind of like, I'm halfway to Charlotte now. You think I'm going to those freaking mountains, for a 6,000 foot runway? Screw that. We'll go on to Charlotte. I'll land on the 10,000 foot runway with no obstacles. And he made it to Charlotte and landed. And, it was, tea and medals for everybody. But now, I don't know if the story's even true. It's something they tell the guys in training. But the idea I think they were trying to get across to people was just how limited this airplane is on one engine. That being said, they were cheap, they were economical, and they did the job. All right? And I remember talking to guys on these airplanes who were, I remember, Ken, you remember when I took Stan Shapiro's Cherokee to Chicago to get away from the hurricane?
Vaguely.
Okay,
Yeah,
you weren't with me, but I
it.
told you, I'm going to take this thing to Chicago. Stan gave me the okay to take it to Chicago because there was a hurricane was going to hit Maryland. So we got it out of the way. And I was there, and it was one of the freight haulers was flying, and I said, what kind of plane is that? He goes, NAMCY. I said, oh, it's a YS-11. He goes, yeah, that's it. And I think I knew the first time I heard it. I said, what is that? He goes, it's a Japanese Convair. But anyway, well, hold on, there's more. We get to, when I'm flying out of Fort Lauderdale, there's a bunch of these Airborne Express freighters parked at the base of the old tower. I'm like, what are those? He goes, oh, those are from they were an Airborne Express markings, but they were a feeder for Airborne Express. He goes, yeah, they don't fly them anymore. They were cargo planes. They were flying fish and stuff for Airborne Express. And eventually the planes disappeared one at a time. Some third-rate carrier in Africa or South America had bought them and got them flying again. Hell, they may still be flying cargo now for all I know. But they were YS-11, so I used to taxi by them all the time. And kind of a forgotten airplane unless you're a hardcore aviation buff. But Providence, yeah, that's right. PBA used YS-11s. In fact, now, thank you, Brian. You just caused another YS-11 story. It's all your fault. I was told that the guy, when the old man who started PBA retired, he gave it to his sons. He ran that airline, Provincetown, Boston. They had an operation in Florida. They had an operation up in Boston. And I remember, and again, I was flying for Stan. I was up at Barnstable Airport. I'm walking around with like 30 derelict airplanes, half of them with the engines removed, including some YS-11s. Like, oh, that was after PBA had shut down. And he goes, yeah, they got, blah, 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 parked them all and everything. Well, one of the sons just took it upon himself to captain one of the airplanes down to Florida, and he wasn't type rated in it. And the feds knew that. And he's on the radio talking like, isn't that so-and-so? Yeah, he's not typed on a lot. So they caught him when he landed, and they pulled his tickets. Or so goes the story. But another YS-11 story. But I don't know how many of the things they made. They were reasonably successful, but it helped get the Japanese aviation industry on its feet after the war. And again, if you were to take that airframe and put a couple of gutsy modern turbo, like some Allisons or something on it, you'd probably have a pretty decent airplane because apparently it handled nice. I'm not really familiar with any problems. But. And then getting back to airliners, of course, we have the Caravelle. For a largely forgotten airplane that is more important than people give it credit for, because the French Caravelle was, if I'm not mistaken, the first tail engine jet that proved the concept that the DC-9 mastered, that yes, you can put the engines on the tail. And that has a lot of advantages. One thing, the wing is...
They have a cruciform tail instead of a T-tail.
Yes,
That's
you have a cruciform tail. That is what they call it when the tail with a horizontal stabilizer in the middle, like a cross. Cruciform. The DC-9 went with the straight up T-tail, but yes. And I will tell you some of the nice things having flown airplanes like this. I'll tell you some of the nice things about them. When you have, first off, you're up in the cockpit, and the front half of the airplane is very quiet. Yeah, it does get noisy in the back, but up front in the first half there, it's really nice. And God, first time I flew a jump seat in MD-80, I was like, you couldn't hear anything up there. You had to watch the gauges.
Isn't that why they called the 727 the whisper jet?
Yeah, because it's quiet on the inside.
Yes. Not on the outside.
Not on the outside. Now, the Caravelle, by the way, Lindbergh didn't want to pay any royalties, so International Airlines and Airline they made up. So if you're going to do a defunct airline build, that doesn't count. That never was. At least I'm pretty sure that was something they made up, so they wouldn't have to pay royalties.
Dennis says United had them.
Yes. In fact, United's the ones that brought them into the country. I was going to get there, but since you brought that up, the French, this is the first regional jet. All right? Today, we would call it a regional jet. Back at the time, there was no such language for an airplane. And but it effectively was a regional jet. And what it did was United got, I want to say it was 10 of them. And believe me, Boeing and Douglas were not happy about that. But they had no product to compete with it, which is one of the reasons Douglas designed the DC-9. They went, okay, tail-mounted, clean wing, good for short haul, medium haul, quiet up front, cruciform tail. Now, the airplane, there was one of these things flying in Africa until only not that many years ago. And there's some footage of it out on YouTube. I think it was in Ghana or somewhere. And it was flying up to like 2005, 2010, something like that. And you would see it cruising with black smoke coming out of one of the engines, so you knew it was nearing its last legs. By the way, you notice the nose section of the cockpit? That was licensed from the British. That is the same nose section and cockpit from the British Comet. And yeah, the Von Arsdale family illegally flew it. That was it. Thank you, the Van Arsdale. Anyway, yeah, it was a big story at the time. And the United said, hey, we could use these regional jets, for these, they didn't call them regional jets, but they would use on these short haul runs. Steve, do you remember when United had the men only, business only, I think all first class, I think it was New York, Chicago shuttle?
I don't remember it, men only.
Well, that's what I was told. I think Mike Mashat talked about that. It was a shuttle. They ran like a whole bunch of times a day between, I want to say it was New York and go check Celebrating Aviation with Mike Mashat, but I think he did a video about it. But I think it was United ran a shuttle between Chicago and New York that used these things. And you didn't even buy tickets in advance. You just walked up and paid cash right there and got, or you may have paid on the plane. But and I was told that they didn't take luggage, and it was strictly a business oriented thing. And I think he said when it first started, it was men only. I mean, it was the early
New York
60s.
Air was like that.
Huh?
New York Air was like that. You would pay on the plane.
Yeah, but they let anybody on who had money.
Yeah.
And what did they do if you didn't have the money to pay? They beat you
I
up
don't
or
know.
something?
Threw you out? I mean,
Maybe. I mean, it is New York Air, wouldn't they're
that's what the
concrete
parachutes are
overshoes,
for.
some cement galoshes. But
They give you a
anyway,
jersey to toss you over.
Douglas and Boeing were both, they freaked when United bought some of these things. And by the way, if you go to Billy Mitchell Field, I don't know if this is still there, but Billy Mitchell Field in
Brooklyn.
Huh? No. The one in, is it Michigan or Detroit? Oh God, where it's. I used to go there all the time with the regionals. Is it St. Louis?
Is it CRJ?
Yeah. Anyway, They have an aviation museum, and it's all models. World-class builds. I mean, trophy-built models. And they have Bonanza and all this. And somebody built, I want to say, a 1/6 scale cockpit from scratch of the Caravelle. You can read the captain's name on the metal plate on his flight bag. and it's in a case, so you have the circle, so you look at it, it's like you're looking through the cockpit door. Absolutely one of the most fantastic model kits I've ever seen. Milwaukee, thank you. The blonde is really showing. I'm starting to worry about my memory because I used to go to Milwaukee all the time. Do the beer tour, baby. They give you free beer. Yes, Caravelle used the nose design and cockpit from the Comet. They actually licensed it from the Brits because it saved them around to design one. But the models in there were just, I hope they still have it. They were fantastic. And if you ever find yourself in that airport and that lobby's free, you just walk in. It's just gorgeous work. That's where I learned about Ozark Airlines. I saw this model. Well, who the heck was Ozark Airlines? So anyway, so yes, United Airlines brought this airplane into the country, and that resulted in both Douglas designing the DC-9 and Boeing designing the 737. This airplane is kind of forgotten in history, but it actually had a huge impact on the industry.
So how long after they brought the Caravelles into the country before they came out with the DC-9 and the
I don't know, but I guess it wasn't 5 years. Everything moved a lot faster back then on aircraft certification. And there were a lot of airlines that flew these things because they were basically regional jets. Early DC-9s were basically regional jets. And we think of the regional jet as a new thing, that came out 25, 30 years ago. And under the name regional jet, as we identified, it did, because these are all mainline aircraft. They were flown by United Mainline. So they were just seen as short haul for junior pilots. But in effect, they were regional airliners before that term was in use. If I may...
Did they become regionals when they started replacing the turboprops with them?
No, no. Yeah, okay. Regional jet was a marketing term. When Bombardier decided to stretch their 604 Challenger and make a small airliner out of it, a 50-seater, they invented the name regional jet as basically a marketing tool. A lot of the work that was being done by the Caravelle was now being done by either the DC-9 or, and depending on a lot of factors, okay, I got to go back a little further than this. 78, they deregulate the airlines. Ken, you used to have 727s flying what today would be considered regional routes because the money was guaranteed. The government, wasn't going to let you go, or it was a deal. If you want the lucrative, Las Vegas to New York run, you got to take the Atlanta to Birmingham run. It's got to be a jet because every mayor wanted his town to have jet service. And airline scheduling was as much political. Actually, I'd say it was more political than it was financial. You want a good route, you got to take a dud route to go with it. And the airlines were guaranteed, unless the government, think about how rare an airline bankruptcy was before deregulation. There were some airlines like Capital that the government never loved, that they just let them go under. They had bloated contracts and just a lot of crap. And anyway, that's a whole nother thing. But you had DC-9s doing a lot of this. Republic Airlines, that I flew on regularly when I was in the Army, was a classic example. They'd been Southern Airlines and North Central, and they merged. Well, you basically had two regional carriers that merged into a national carrier. But North Central, they called them that for a reason. They flew up in the Midwest, and Ozark flew in the Ozarks and out of St. Louis and everything. And Southern was all out of Atlanta and all that stuff. And Eastern was largely on the East Coast and out in the Caribbean. Pan Am, Delta, TWA, they were the big international carriers. Others would try to get international routes where they could, but that was all political. And so Mayor Smith says, I want jet service in Tuscaloosa. And he would talk to Governor Billy Bob, who would talk to the Southern Democratic Party, and they'd talk to the senator, who'd talk to the president. What do you want? So Delta says, hey, we want to fly from Phoenix to Atlanta. Well, if you're going to take that, you got to take Tuscaloosa also. 3 times a day. That's the deal. Delta runs the numbers and goes, yeah, okay, we'll make that work. All right, that's kind of how I'm giving a really, really brief synopsis, but that's kind of how the system worked. And, well, look, I'm not going to spend millions of dollars buying jets just to do Tuscaloosa. We'll just use what we got on property. We'll have them pit stop in Tuscaloosa on their way to Shreveport, and we'll just try. The government's going to guarantee us so much money anyway. So a 727 stops in Tuscaloosa, or Pensacola, or Shreveport, or Meridian, drops off 9 people, picks up 6 more, and then hops on to Houston. All right? Because it was always an Atlanta-Houston flight to begin with. They're just basically pit stopping. Very inefficient. And I have seen some of the old schedules. They are not to be believed. Now, you know what? You want me to hit all these towns? Fine. I'm going to use a Convair 440. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm going to dot. We're going to Atlanta to Birmingham to Mobile to Shreveport to Hattiesburg. And you look, and if you go up to Delta and you buy a ticket, I'd like to buy a ticket to Houston. Yes, sir. $129. Thank you. You walk out, where's my jet? Oh, no, you're getting on that thing with the propellers. You get on a Convair 440 Metropolitan and you make 4 freaking stops on the way. They don't even shut down the right engine. They just sit there with it going to keep the air conditioning going while the guys are hauling cargo off the plane. That's why all the cargo bins were on one side, and then they fire up that radial again. You're like,
but they're making a fortune because they're also delivering the mail.
They're delivering the mail,
and that pays for the flight. The customers are a bonus.
And it's just like, you're like, you gotta be kidding me. This cannot be efficient. And Dell's like, of course it's not efficient. What do you think? We got a Convair on it, Well, then they go, nope, I want jet service. So now they're doing the same damn thing in a DC-9. You have any idea how much that costs? Just to start those engines. And they're like, but they get their lucrative other routes to compensate for it. Then
did the government care what airplane they used? Just that they
Oh yeah, they cared. Yeah, if they weren't getting jet service, some little towns didn't have enough political pull, but if the governor of Georgia is a friend with the mayor of Tuscaloosa, because they went to Southern U together, and they know each other's dark secrets. Listen, Billy Bob, I know what happened back in '56, and I know where she's buried. I want jet service. What, you think that's only a New York thing or Chicago? Bang, bang. So anyway, then deregulation comes about. All the rules go out the window. It is now a laissez-faire system, a true free market system. Anybody that's got the money to scrape together to grab a second-hand 727, like Kiwi or whatever, they can go anywhere they want. And everything went out the window. And so all of a sudden, the airlines, these legacy carriers, all this fat in the system, protected routes, are losing money by the truckload. They are burning cash. And you've got all these little upstarts. Southwest jumps out of Texas and starts going everywhere. I can sit here and name dozens of upstart airlines. People's Distress or People's Express, New York Air, Muse. They just popped up out of Presidential. They were popping up all over the place.
I remember back in '75, I flew a 727 from Dulles to Dallas.
Well, that probably wasn't too bad of a run. That's major city to major city.
And then we went from Dallas to San Antonio on the same plane.
Yeah. Dallas to San Antonio, not really a 727 run.
Probably not.
But
I got a bit of a story if you want to hear it about that plane.
Knock it out.
Okay. Well, this was my very, very first business trip that I had ever
Was
taken.
little Kenny in a suit and tie?
Hell no. Hell no.
Special Kenny had a waiver.
Well, anyway, my boss wanted to fly out of Dulles Airport because it was close to him, but it was not close to me. Anyway, I ended up getting there. Well, you know, at Dulles they have those big tractors.
The mobile lounges.
Yeah,
I have great experience with those.
Yeah. Well, they go from the terminal out to the airplane.
For those who are unaware, a thing called a mobile lounge, we called the dinosaurs, when I worked at Dulles and had to dodge them in my little electric tow cart, okay, they are literally, 60 or 80 passenger lounges that can rise up and down on pistons, and they drive, because they didn't have all the stuff back then, they didn't have a tram, or anything, so they would pick you up at the main terminal and drive you out to the midfield terminal and dock and open the doors and everybody would get off. And they were actually very impressive machines.
No. They didn't have that back then.
no,
They
they went
Or
right
they took it right to the plane.
Yeah.
They did that also. They could take you straight to the plane, yes.
Right. When Eastern wanted to, I think it was Eastern, I don't know, some airline wanted to use Dulles as a hub, and they came in and said, you got to put a midfield terminal out there, and just
That was, I think, was Continental.
Could have been.
I think it was
Could have been.
Continental.
Anyway, this is before then.
Mhm.
Okay. So you had to take the mobile lounge to the airplane. Anyway, so I got there late. The mobile lounge had left. And so I went up to the counter and he pulled out this enormous book. It looked like a Sears catalog with all these flights in it.
Mm-hmm. The
And he's
OAG, the official airline guide.
Airline guide. You still live and die by that.
Live and die by the OAG, baby.
Well, he was trying to find me another flight, and finally he just said, screw it. He said, come here. So I follow him around, and we go through a door, and he takes me down to the tarmac, and we jump in this car, and he drives me out to the airplane, because the plane is still there,
Mm-hmm.
rather than trying to find me another flight. Because it's a 727, the rear stair door,
Theirs are there.
Air stair. Yep, the air stair in the
air
back.
stair was still down. So he said, the guy, he said, just get out and just walk up the stair, okay, and get in the airplane. I was like, okay.
He just
cool.
wants you out of his world.
Well,
Exactly. Anyway, so I walk up the top of the stair, the door's closed, and I'm looking at all this aviation stuff around.
Yeah, the
me.
engines are the hellhole with all the engines and everything, yeah.
I
All the
was
plumbing.
afraid to touch anything, so I just stood there for a while until finally the co-pilot showed up, and because he was doing his walk around, and he shows up and he lets me in, and I walk into the plane and I see my boss.
They better let you in because that area is not pressurized.
Yeah. Anyway, so I walk in and I say hi to my boss, and he turns around with this very shocked look on his face. He told me later on, he says, once that door closed, I figured you weren't showing up.
You never told me this story before.
Well,
Yeah.
J.M. Chaldek brought up a great point, which blends into that story.
Clodic. Jim
Okay.
Clodic.
Well, so the DC-9 and the 727 could go to these smaller airports because they had their own stairs.
Yes.
They didn't need to have any kind of...
In fact, the 727 was designed without an APU. And I actually, when I was studying for my 727 flight engineer test, I learned this. And then before they delivered any of them, the airlines were like, look, a lot of these little airports we're going to go to don't have ground facilities. We're going to need an APU. Well, Boeing had designed it without an APU. And so basically, where do we have space for an APU? Well, they found out they had room between the landing gears, which is why the 727 APU is mounted between the landing gears was an afterthought. And but
727's wait a minute, there's another airplane. So I flew to Kalamazoo, Michigan once for a job interview.
Once is enough.
Kalamazoo.
Well, this was also back before jetways. So I remember the airplane had steps pull out from underneath the door.
Yes, DC-9.
Yeah.
Actually, I remember that vividly because the very first time I went to Tallahassee Airport to put a family friend with my dad and my parents on an airliner. She was going to Tampa to catch her connecting flight. She went up the steps into the DC-9, and then I saw the flight attendant when they were all in, hit a button, and the steps went up and retracted, and the door closed behind it, and then she closed the door. Well, that air stair, that retractable air stair door was an option. But it also was an option on the 727. Because they were both designed to go to small fields that didn't have support. In Tallahassee was pretty basic. They had the AP going. Years later, or not much later, you're talking about the Whisper Jet. The 727, Eastern called them the Whisper Jet. We took a friend up. She got on the airliner. And they cranked all three engines and taxied out. And this is back when the whole family could go right up to the gate. The little chain link fence. You could almost touch the wingtip. That thing taxied out of there. My little ears were probably bleeding. I was like, it roars off. And you're watching the black smoke. You could track it all the way to Tampa, with that black trail it left. And I looked at my dad, and I was like, I remember number 2 engine, Whisper Jet in big letters. Why do they call that a Whisper Jet? Because that was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. And he just goes, it's quiet on the inside.
It is.
And
it is. I've sat in the back of those planes between the engines almost and think, wow, just on the other side of this wall, there's a jet engine blasting away, and you can barely hear the thing.
Well, the thing is that, we're talking about the D.B. Cooper thing, is that when I told you about my roommate who was a Piedmont pilot. He was a first officer on a 737. He took me out. Now, this is obviously way pre 9/11. He took me out on the ramp to show me, to give me the walk around and the dime tour of the cockpit of a 7.2 and a 7.3. Kind of keep me motivated. I was working getting my flight instructor ratings. And he showed me this little flange by that air stair door. And it was a weather vane. He goes, now the door will open here on the ground, but when you get up above like 120 knots, that flange goes into the wind, weathercocks into the wind, and it blocks that door. They call it the D.B. Cooper device, so you can't open that door in flight. You can still blow the tail cone off a DC-9, but I was like, oh, okay. And you learn all these little things that, unless you work the airport, you'll never know. And but it was a world of mystery and awe, and I'm so glad I got to have a career in it. And as you know, Ken, I was dying to fly for the airlines.
Oh yeah. That's all you talk about.
And as I mentioned, annoyingly so, and as I mentioned, I've got this. I'm going to be guest on a podcast here about aviation. Let me check the name of the podcast real quick. They saw my video that I did on the Pilots of Prop Wash channel about my 1 year since I retired, and they contacted me. Hey, would you like to be on our podcast? Now they have a lot of people on the podcast. This isn't Joe Rogan we're talking about, but it's still, I was very, very flattered to be invited. So yeah, absolutely. And they said, come with the bullet points you want to talk about, and they're great. It's Carl Valeri. It's called the Aviation Careers Podcast. And trust me, when it comes time for me to do it, I will be sure with annoying detail to let everybody know that I was on it and where to find it.
I'm laughing at Steve.
Why? Snoopy?
Look at his background.
I love it. But the 2 planes I'd always wanted to fly, the 727 and the 757. Actually, 3, the DC-9, 727, 757. Never got to fly any of them.
Wouldn't you wanted to fly the Concorde?
Not really.
No?
Well, let me explain why. I mean, the Concorde's a beautiful airplane. I'm not dissing it for a moment. But
it won't fit in the front.
Huh? You just had to go there. That's cold, man. I'm hurt.
They don't call you nose weight for nothing.
This just gets.
You do know that I put a picture of you up on a couple of videos back in the backseat of an airplane. And underneath it said Special K. In fact, let me go find that picture since you brought that up. I hope I saved it.
Like to fly in the Concorde, Max.
But no, it's just all it did was the over water. All he did was go in a straight line real fast. It was an extremely procedures airplane. It wasn't. I just don't see it as being a lot of fun. Very prestigious, to be sure.
Oh yeah, beautiful airplane too. I had one fly past me once.
Oh, that's you in the back seat, but I don't have the name on this one. Let me see if I can find the one with the name. Let's see here. Image. Go there. Brown. Don't know if I saved it or not. Da, da, da.
There you go. Gunner Kenny.
Max, you got way too much time on your hands.
That's the beauty of being retired, baby.
Score one for Special K. Somebody said the problem with the Concorde is it was skinny like a CRJ cabin. Well, he fit in a CRJ.
Well, I fit in a CRJ.
I know people who used to fly it back and forth to England. And they said it was so friggin' small inside, even though everything was first class. They said it was like...
No, it was very tight. It was not a comfortable airplane for anybody. Anyway, I'd taken that photo and put the name Special K, Special Kenny underneath them, And but I had used the what was the other one they gave me? I put Captain Tail Dragger Conkey and Petty Officer Special K. Must not have saved it.
Okay.
Well, guys, we're wrapping up here. It's going on 9 o'clock. If you're going to do decals, please get a laser printer and some good paper. It'll make all the world of difference, especially if you're printing on clear.
Maybe instead of the Concordski.
Well, that was a Russian Tu-144. It flew before the Concorde.
Yep, not by much, but it did.
Yeah, a couple of weeks. But anyway, I want to dedicate this live stream to Spirit. Spirit was Waffle House with wings, but I knew a lot of people that worked there. They were great folks. When I flew with them, they being a fellow airline person, they treated us really well. Yeah, they treat the rest of the passengers like crap, but they were nice to us. And I had my knees wedged.
Your master's with one of those pilots. Remember that?
Yeah, but one of the things that I remember though is that you remember, Ken, I told you guys about when Monica had to fly on them one time from Lauderdale to Orlando.
No, I don't remember that.
Okay, extremely short story. My wife had to fly on Spirit one time, just short hop from Fort Lauderdale to Orlando. I was picking her up at the airport. I go to pick her up, and she's sitting there, and she's got her boots on with her tight jeans and her tight sweater. My wife's very shapely, and I'm sitting there. Yeah, that's right. I'm married to that. That's right. She's sitting there just tapping her toe. I'm like, yeah, baby. And she had her friend Anna with her, and I'm pulling up and like, boom, chicka wow, hey girl, and she gets in the car and slams the door, and she is not happy. And I'm like, okay, now I understand why she looked. They say that women look best when they're mad. She looked really good. And I realized that, yes, men are in fact self-destructive. And she just looks me dead in the eyes and goes, Spirit is so not JetBlue. I won't bore you with the story, but it was bad. And I was kind of like, no one at the gate, no one to help. They changed the schedule. The gate didn't tell anybody. They made her run across the airport. She got on the plane. They're hot. They're sweaty. And then they had to wait for 45 minutes because they were holding for 2 other passengers. And that's the short story. But I was like, yep. So, yeah, there you go. Well, all right, guys. I'll let you say goodnight. And we'll adios, everybody.
Good night, guys. Glad you're able to tune in, even though we only talked about models for about 8 minutes. But it was an education as always.
And it was worth every penny you paid for it.
That's right. And at double the price, it was still good. And so, see you next week.
Thanks for showing up, guys, even though I showed up late.
But you showed up.
Thanks for coming.
Not bad, pink skin. Guy, that's from Star Trek.
Just jealous because you can't look like this.
Dude, I can look like that in 30 seconds in front of a microwave. Guys, take care of yourselves. Talk to you later as always. Model on.
Six blades cut the dawn over ice and smoke. Chinook in the sky with an iron joke. They painted her green and they fed her fire. Now the whole crew calls her by one name, Gunzilla. Hear the thunder roll through the cloudline haze. Metal in the sun, burning like a wave. They said, go hunt monsters across the broken sea. So she shook the earth and roared back at me. Godzilla, Godzilla, take the beast down. Godzilla, Godzilla, shake that whole ground. Godzilla, Godzilla, with a scream and a glow. Godzilla, Godzilla, let the giants know. Out past the patties, where the old bones lie, a king-size shadow kept you in the sky. She came in low, with the doors wide open, crew chief yelling, and the night split open. Now the gauges flash in a pink lit dream, chrome on the nose like a fever beam. The rotors turn to thunder, the radios burn blue. Every cursed thing knows what she came to do. Godzilla, Godzilla, take the beast down. Godzilla, Godzilla, shake that whole ground. Godzilla, Godzilla, with a scream and a glow. Godzilla, Godzilla, let the giants know. Then the world flipped hard to a neon frame. Same old warbird with a brand new name. Laser fire glinting on the monster's hide. Godzilla climbed and she bit the sky. Godzilla, Godzilla, take the beast down. Godzilla, Godzilla, shake that whole ground. Godzilla, Godzilla, now the dark won't grow. Godzilla, Godzilla, let the giants know. Godzilla, Godzilla, hear the engines sing. Godzilla, Godzilla, king of everything. Another airline closed the door. Gates go dark on the shore. Paper tickets in a drawer. Dust on the check-in floor. They pull the signs down slow. Took the route maps and the glow.